TikTok is filled with these challenges that have actually caused a lot of kids to be injured, and a lot of kids have actually died from these challenges. How likely is it that TikTok will get banned permanently in the US? I think if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have said probably impossible. And I think in light of the Senate bill that just got passed a few days ago, whereby unanimously all of the senators in the US agreed that all government employees will not be allowed to have the TikTok app on its government-issued mobile devices. And the bill is anticipated to go through the House and probably pass. And in doing my research, I have to say that I don't disagree with this position that they're taking because of the threat to our national security that it poses and the data that is being transferred or given to the Chinese government through TikTok's parent company, ByteDance. So let's talk a little bit about the history of TikTok, why TikTok is as big as it is, and what I think will happen in the future with TikTok. I'm Tyler, the Hollywood attorney. I've been an attorney in Hollywood for 15 years, working for companies like Disney, Skydance, and BuzzFeed, as well as several big law firms. I have to admit, I'm totally guilty of scrolling on TikTok, and yes, it is very entertaining, but it's also mindless. I mean, look, I certainly have been really enjoying the Wednesday Addams dance that's going around. I enjoy the dances and the lip singing. But I don't know, I don't usually feel better after getting off of TikTok the way I feel about YouTube. I get on YouTube because I have a question that I need answered, and I'll go watch a few videos. Like right now, I'm trying to figure out what espresso machine to buy, right? And so I will go watch a few videos and I will get my answer. Now, what will the response be if the US tries to ban TikTok? I think there will be a heck of a fight. There will be a lot of debate and potentially, lawsuits about First Amendment rights, about right to information, about how we are a democracy and we do not censor or restrict how much information we get access to, right? There's this great Vox video where they show this spectrum of countries that have very strict limits on their internet, and North Korea and China are on one end and the US is on the very other end. But there are a bunch of countries in between. What we have to realize is India was the biggest market for TikTok. And 2 years ago in 2020, India permanently banned TikTok. And it is unlikely that India will ever allow TikTok back into the country. Now, that poses an interesting question, right? As to why that happened and could it happen in the US? I think we all remember 2 years ago, under the prior president, there was a big push to ban TikTok. And when that was meeting a lot of resistance, the talks turned towards, well, what if ByteDance sold TikTok to a US company? I believe at the time, different companies were being floated. I think Oracle, I think Microsoft, I think Walmart were all kind of in contention. And then we changed presidents, and President Biden has kind of put those talks on hold. He hasn't really pushed for that. So let's understand a little bit about why is it that TikTok is dangerous? Well, based on my research, it seems like TikTok is dangerous on several different levels. There's the level as a parent that I'm very sensitive to. TikTok is filled with these challenges that have actually caused a lot of kids to be injured, and a lot of kids have actually died from these challenges. It's so upsetting to read about the blackout challenges, the NyQuil challenges, there's the cha-cha slide challenge, there's the penny challenge. I mean, I don't even want to list them all out because it just sounds dangerous and I don't want to perpetuate anything. But the amount of time that kids spend on TikTok has been likened to an addiction. TikTok has been called digital fentanyl. I think a lot of lawmakers and Congress people are calling it that. And I think they might be right. A recent study has found that TikTok pushed harmful content around self-harm and eating disorders within minutes of signing selling it for their account. Now, you have lawmakers and the US government being very concerned about our national security, right, as it pertains to TikTok. The head of the FBI says that the Bureau has national security concerns about the US operations of TikTok, warning that the Chinese government could potentially use the popular video sharing app to influence American users or actually control their devices. The FBI director, Christopher Wray, told a House Homeland Security Committee hearing about worldwide threats just days after Republican lawmakers introduced a bill that would ban the app nationwide. The FBI director goes on to say that potentially TikTok could influence its users by pushing certain content or limiting certain content the way the Chinese government does to their citizens in China. There's also potential for the app to track the locations of certain people. Let's play that scenario out a little bit, right? Because he doesn't go into it, but I was wondering what he meant exactly, right? So I would imagine if the app was on, let's say, government officials or even military personnel, the fact that the Chinese government could potentially track our government officials or military personnel is just frightening. Imagine, just think about the implications of that. But I believe the US government might not be overreacting now. I think that there needs to be some safeguards put in place where we understand that all the information being gathered on US citizens through their TikTok app is not being mined somehow and shared with the Chinese government. I think that there are talks of potentially storing and saving the data on US grounds, maybe through an Oracle cloud, so it's a US company. I think talks of potentially forcing ByteDance to sell the company, TikTok, to a US company might resume in light of this latest development. In late October, the Senate Intelligence Committee chairman, Mark Warner, who is a Democrat from Virginia, actually went on to praise former President Trump's approach to wanting to ban TikTok. He has agreed that TikTok poses a privacy and security concerns to Americans. And a week later, the Federal Communications Commissioner, Brendan Carr, called the government to also ban TikTok. And earlier in June, he actually urged Apple and Google to remove TikTok from their app stores. And last week, Senator Marco Rubio and Representative Mike Gallagher, both Republicans, introduced legislation that would ban TikTok and other social media companies that are effectively controlled by the CCP from operating in the United States. So what is coming out from my research and the research of different security specialists is a little frightening. It has been uncovered that TikTok does censor politically sensitive information and videos that put China in a bad light. They have been censoring videos where people are criticizing what Chinese government is doing to the Uyghur Muslims in China. I mean, they are holding apparently hundreds of thousands of Uyghurs in detention camps. There are numerous human rights violations and forced slave labor. I mean, it sounds horrible. There have been censorship around the Tiananmen Square incident on TikTok. So this is very frightening considering how many American adults get their news from TikTok. So if TikTok is censoring and basically editing the news, it's not unlike what they do to the Chinese citizens in China. So is a permanent ban of TikTok the solution? I don't know. I don't think it goes far enough, maybe, or it doesn't really address the issue. This professor of media studies and director of East Asia Center at the University of Virginia, Professor Kokas, describes TikTok as both entertainment and as a form of critical communications infrastructure. TikTok is just one app that China has control over. There's also WeChat, which is used also by Americans. So simply banning an app, I think, doesn't go far enough. Professor Kokas goes on to state that when we look at all these wide-ranging apps that are connected to Chinese firms, it's actually almost nonsensical to ban just one when we see platforms in areas like precise agriculture, communications, gaming, all connected to Chinese firms. What we really need to do and what's really important is to develop more robust data privacy regulations in the United States to protect users. So I'm interested in seeing what happens. I believe the bill will pass in the House. I believe there will be a resumed push to potentially sell TikTok to a US company so that it's controlled by the US. And there probably will be further pushes on TikTok to share what it's doing with its data, to protect American data and making sure that it doesn't go back to China. So stay tuned. If you didn't catch my latest video on the Balenciaga scandal and lawsuit, make sure you catch it here. Please consider subscribing. It really does help my growing channel, especially if you found my video to be of value and you learned something. This is Tyler. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you guys next time.